All right, we're here with Avery Loser, joining us all the way from New York. How are you doing over there? How's it been?
I'm doing good. It's better. Things are starting to open up again, so it's good. The weather's nice, so that's good. That's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you want to start off by telling us a little about yourself, and then after that, we'll talk a little about Brave Mouse.
Sure. So I am currently a sophomore at NYU Tisch for Film and Television. I was originally born in Houston, Texas, so I traveled a little far for college. But yes, and my sister, I have an older sister. She's 2 years older than me. She also goes to NYU, and so she's in drama. So I use her a lot in a lot of my films, which is nice because I have an actor on hand always. And yeah, so I grew up in Texas and just moved to New York for college, but I've been going to New York a long time with my family growing up. And so it feels like a second home. And I got into film and television when I was in the 6th grade and randomly attended some photography camp at the high school that I eventually went to. I wasn't going there at the time and immediately just fell in love with the medium, along with The Great Gatsby, directed by Baz Luhrmann. That was like the first movie that got me hooked. So ever since then, I've just kind of been doing my thing, and it's been great. So that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, I mean, when you first messaged me and I saw all the stuff you've been doing, like a lot of film festival stuff, can you tell us about just a little bit about that? Because that's
Yeah.
super impressive, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's so weird. I did the camp in the 6th grade and then I did it again in the 7th grade, but it was really small. It was just me and another one of my friends, the girl who actually invited me to do the camp. We did it again next year and it was just the two of us. So I was really able to kind of focus on one film the whole time with a lot of mentorship from my teacher. And so that film that I made, I just randomly submitted to festivals just for fun. And it ended up getting into the National Film Festival for the Talented Youth. And that was kind of like my first dip into the festival scene. And then since then, and anytime I make a film, I'll just submit it for fun because you never really know. So anytime I've gotten into a festival, it's always just kind of been on a whim and kind of on fingers crossed. And it's really good. It's really, really cool and a wonderful experience, no matter how big or small the festival is, to just be able to see your work on the screen. It's kind of like a surreal experience. So big or small, I always enjoy going to festivals. I think it's really fun. And I'm just really grateful that I've gotten to go to so many and have those opportunities. So yeah.
That's so cool. I know you've also done like documentary stuff, which have been like recognized by the CBS and ABC. But now, first of all, I just want to say congratulations on the launch of Brave Mouse, which launched yesterday. It must have been surreal.
Yes, it was wild. Thank you. I mean, I don't know, it just feels like a professional kind of extension of what I've always been doing. So I don't think I've like let it kind of sink in that it's an actual, company. Yeah, it's still very surreal, and I'm just excited to get to work on the projects. We already have a bunch in the works, so I'm just ready to kind of press the gas and get going. So yeah.
Do you want to tell us how that idea came around and how you turned that idea into a company?
Yeah, so I don't know, I've always, Brave Mouse has always just kind of been like, that phrase has always been like in my vocabulary. I'm not exactly sure why, but ever since I was really little, it was always just like, oh yeah, well that's gonna be your production company one day. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. So, but then when I really thought about it, Brave is a combination of mine and my sister's name. Her name is Brock. And so you have Brock plus Avery, which is Brave. And then I'm also like the biggest Disney fan ever. So Mouse is kind of like my homage to the Walt Disney Company. And so that I have Brave Mouse. And it was always just kind of back there, but I never thought about, actually starting it until more recently. when I was in high school, which was, I mean, just like 2 years ago. So I made a film about being like the only girl in my film class, because I was, for a majority of the time in my high school, I was the only girl in my film class. And so I made a film about, you know, those fun experiences that I had being the only girl. And it was totally just banned from screening at the school because it was viewed to be like a derogatory kind of point of view on the program, even though all of my stories were true. And I kind of got in trouble for it, which didn't really seem right, considering they were all true stories from my perspective that I've actually experienced. And since then, I kind of just was like, you know what? Well, instead of feeling sorry for myself about this film never actually being what it was promised to be, I need to actually take action and do steps to support those stories of those women that are probably, you know, just as suppressed and are as suppressed as, you know, my short little film. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start Brave Mouse. It's always been there and I just need to do it. So that's kind of what pushed me to get the ball rolling and get it started, because I figured more stories like mine that have not been allowed to been put out there needed to be put out there. So that's just how I just kind of decided to do it. So yeah.
Wow, I mean, that's kind of shocking. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Did they, was that where they're just like, oh, like you can't show this? They didn't take any of it actually to heart, like realizing. Like...
Yeah, they were, it's funny because I wrote the script and everything and did the shot list, and I gave it to, you know, the administration and everything and said, this is what I'm doing, you know, to get approval. And they were like, great, that's awesome. So I got everything approved before I even made the film. So it was quite shocking when all of it was just kind of told that it wasn't allowed to show. I got called into an office with two men, and they were just telling me that it was just not an appropriate perspective on the program, and which was it was shocking, but it hurt me a lot, to be honest. But I ended up putting it on, you know, my own platforms, and it got good feedback because everyone who saw it knew that those stories were true. So I eventually got over it. And I'm honestly, even though it was tough, I am grateful for the experience, because I was able to, you know, put my stuff out there anyway. And then it allowed me to be kind of brave enough to start this company. So without that experience, I probably wouldn't have started Brave Mouse. So gotta be thankful for it, even though it hurt during the time. So.
And starting this company, how did COVID affect it? Did it affect it at all, or did it help it because you had more time on your hands, perhaps?
Yeah, so I had more time, definitely, to kind of get my act together and figure out exactly what I was going to do, because I started, you know, building the website, working on the mission, all that stuff over the summer when there was really nothing to do because we were all in lockdown. So that was definitely helpful. And then in terms of the projects, actually, like one of our film and television projects currently in the works, we actually shot that over COVID. We shot the first episode of the miniseries during coronavirus in the summer, so kind of during the heat of it. But we were able to figure out how to do it safely, social distance, masks, all that kind of stuff, which was actually good practice, because now that I'm in school, we're having to shoot all our films the same way. So I was able to kind of dip my toe in the water of what that world is going to look like before I was kind of pushed into it with all of my projects at NYU. So it's definitely been a learning experience, and it has helped time-wise. And I've been able to connect like with you guys. I feel like if COVID hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't even be able to connect with you all, because everyone's doing Zoom and everyone's schedules are a lot, you know, there's a lot more free time. And so I am honestly just so grateful for that, being able to connect with people that I haven't been able to in years because of our physical locations or schedules or anything like that. So that's been very nice.
Oh, totally. I feel like this is not about coronavirus in general, but the situation it has put us in where we have to think differently. Like the fact that I can just like call you all the way from New York and we can talk, like that's not something I would have thought of before, but now it's just natural.
Right.
And also like with shooting, once you like if you can shoot socially distanced, then you can kind of do it all, and you develop all those skills. Now, do you want to talk about the mission of Brave Mouse? Because what you're doing is so inspiring. I know you have like a 51% rule on productions, and your focus is on female-led narratives. So just tell us about that.
Yeah, so yes, there is a 51% minimum requirement for women in production on all of our productions, whether it be film and television, any photography, web design, writing, any of that. And the reason that I made that such a harsh kind of requirement is because I feel like a lot of organizations, companies, whatever they may be, say, we strive to do X, Y, or Z, and sometimes that doesn't always come through, and it's not their fault or anything. I just wanted to make sure that Brave Mouse had a tangible objective and a tangible way to enact change for women in production, rather than just saying, well, we strive to have more females. It's like, no, we require that we have X behind the scenes, so that we are constantly and tangibly creating that change for women behind the camera, rather than just saying we promise to do X, Y, or Z, because promises, they're not guaranteed. So that was my main reasoning behind putting a number to it. I also think that like so much of the movement in Hollywood that has been so female focused has been focused, a lot of the attention has been put on the actor's perspective, which I do think is very important, obviously, and their experiences are so valid and they break my heart. However, I think it's important that we bring attention to and shed light on the experiences of the women behind the scenes, because they are just as important, and I feel like they get overshadowed a lot. So I'm trying to bring that attention onto the women behind the scenes by having that requirement, but also realizing that authentic female narratives are extremely important and are missing. And so telling female-led narratives also kind of sheds a light on that as well. So kind of merging two sides together and trying to do it in a tangible way.
Yeah, I think, like, just as you were saying, it all intersects. Like, the way an actress is being treated intersects with the way the entire production is functioning. When you have more women behind the scenes, you're going to have a more comfortable experience for the women in front. Like, that's just how it works, especially when it comes to more intimate scenes and more vulnerable scenes. Then that can really have an effect on how it all it's done. So I think that's incredibly important, and I love the fact that you were so stern just putting a number on it, because we're seeing a lot of people saying we will do better, or as you say, strive. But what does that mean? Because you can strive and then still not achieve anything. That so props to you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I feel like it's just kind of, it's hard. I mean, in anything that you're like, oh, I need to do this, it's like, it's hard to kind of see that through. So if you create a rule, there's no way getting around it. So, and hopefully that will just become, I mean, to me, it's natural. Like any set that I've ever run has always been probably majority female or diverse in terms of, gender, race, or age, whatever it may be. And so I'm hoping that if people start, putting numbers to it or whatever it may be, that it will just become the natural way of thinking, as it should be, which it's crazy that it's not, but hopefully it'll just translate naturally into everything that we do, not just film and television. So.
Yeah, I just actually came from set and it was all women and it was so powerful. So I think we definitely need young minds like you and myself and Adita who are putting, representation and diversity, at the front of our productions. And with that, with Brave Mouse, what are your goals for the future with your company?
Yeah, so my goal for Brave Mouse, short-term goal is just, I have short-term and long-term goal. So my short-term goal would just be to accumulate a portfolio of authentic female stories, which sounds very vague, but I think a lot of the times one of my issues with kind of mainstream media platforms is that the stories being told of women are always the loudest stories. And I want to focus on the stories of the woman just, trying to do good, and the woman who, is not the loudest in the room, and trying to portray the softer side of that. In all of our things that we do. So that would be like a short-term goal, just to kind of accumulate that and get more projects and see amazing creators' visions from start to finish, and be able to collaborate with different people all over the world. I mean, that would be incredible. Long-term goal, which is, I just finished writing my first screenplay, and so a long-term goal, a feature-length screenplay. So a long-term goal would be for Brave Mouse to produce that eventually, which would be a dream come true. But again, focusing on finding people, outside of my circle, and just getting to know other collaborators and other people who kind of have the same goals as me as mine, and just getting those stories out there as much as we can. Because I feel like there's a gap, and that gap needs to be filled. So hopefully Brave Mouse can help fill that gap with other people. So
definitely. Well, we've been talking about a lot, like throughout this podcast, is how important it is to have women in, like, these CEO, executive producing positions, because that's how creative decisions are ultimately decided on. Now, what has been the most valuable lesson that you've learned throughout all of this in the past few months?
This sounds very cheesy, but it's very true. The most valuable lesson that I have learned is to be brave, which sounds so cheesy, but because Brave Mouse, whatever, but it's just so part of like and I'm not perfect, obviously. It's just being brave is so much of a part of what I want to be and what I try to be, because and I hope that everyone will have the confidence to be brave enough to put their stories out there, and to say that they can fill those executive positions, or those head creative positions, and just to be like the first person to reach out to other people, to help other people, and to collaborate with other people, I think is so important. And I think so often, especially as women, we're afraid of what will happen if we put ourselves out there by the people in power. And I would just hope that as the times are shifting, that we would all feel more brave to put our stories out there, because there are more people, like me, like you two also, that are looking for those people and looking for those stories. And so the more that we put ourselves out there, I think the more our stories will be brought to light, which that is what I've learned, is that you have to be confident and brave to take those next steps, despite whatever failure could be ahead of you. Failure brings growth. So it's not the end of the world. You just have to be kind of brave enough to put yourself out there. So that's the most important lesson I've learned.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And with young people, young women in particular, who maybe want to start their own production company as well, what advice would you give them in terms of that?
Oh, that's a great question. I would probably say be confident in the stories that you want to tell, because whatever company that you wish to create, whatever production company you wish to create, the mission has to be true and authentic to you and the stories you want to put out there, and what you want to see. Otherwise, other people could do it, and it doesn't make it unique to you. So I always kind of ask the question, like, why do I have to do this now, and why am I the only person that can do this? And by doing that with Brave Mouse, obviously I'm not the only person trying to empower women, but you know what I'm saying. By doing that with Brave Mouse, I find myself a lot more passionate and a lot more brave to do stuff. And I feel like I can put authentic versions of at least what I want to see in the media out there, because I know what I'm trying to do. So I would just say to them, know what you want to say, and then say it with all the confidence in the world, and do it, because no one's going to hold you back except yourself. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I honestly love that. I think there is a part where, especially for women, especially for young women, where it's like a fear of being taken seriously by other people, and a fear that no one's really going to trust their visions or ideas, which I can understand. But where it is in terms of making your own companies, you have to find the right people. You have to find your people, and then you can create some really good stuff. Like I don't know if you throughout the creating of this company have experienced that kind of belittlement maybe from other sources, or if you have how did you kind of find your confidence again, and just stuck to your gut?
Yeah, it's funny because before I formed Brave Mouse, I've kind of made Brave Mouse a media company that encompasses everything that I love to do. And so before that, I was, designing websites, but like just for myself or for other people, but not under any sort of label. And it's funny because I did get messages from some men over social media during quarantine, criticizing me for like charging too high for what I do, or when it came to web design, or like I would put stuff out there, about being safe during COVID and wearing a mask, and I would get these messages again, unfortunately, from men saying, well, if you believe this, then why don't you believe that? Just kind of testing me. And so I kind of reached, it sounds bad, but I've kind of reached a boiling point where I was like, I just need to solidify this under a company's name so that it kind of takes the personal repercussions out of it, which I would have formed Brave Mouse regardless, but Brave Mouse also kind of serves as a protection for me to kind of say, yeah, this is what I do, and it's serious because it's a company now, and I don't have to get the personal kind of repercussions from saying that I'm charging too high for being a woman, trying to create work for herself. So and Brave Mouse just kind of gave me that, stamp of like, she's serious. And I mean, it's sad that we have to do stuff like that for people to get us to take us seriously. I mean, that shouldn't be the case, but I feel like unfortunately 9 times out of 10 that is. And so hopefully Brave Mouse and what you all are doing will be a small step in keeping that from being the case for future generations. So
yeah, just again bringing it back to taking it into our own hands, it's such an important thing, because going to people and asking them for permission, that just no more. No more, we're not going to ask for permission anymore. So what you're doing is fucking awesome.
Thank you. But you also said, finding the right group of people too, because there are those people that are out there. And it's funny because on my website, I have, for Brave Mouse, I have like a resources tab, and it's like, it's just full of people, because I feel like when people think of resources, they think of, expensive, fancy equipment, whatever, but it takes good people to tell good stories. So I kind of have my network on Brave Mouse, hopefully, so that I can connect them to other amazing, wonderful collaborators on projects and stuff like that. But I've had some people ask me, because I do have 2 guys on there who I literally trust with all of my being in terms of like collaboration and art and all that kind of stuff. And people have asked me like, well, you're focusing on women empowerment, but yet you're suggesting that I work with, these 2 guys on your resources tab. And I'm like, yeah, but it's all about finding people, because there are men out there who do believe in women and do support women, and in achieving their success and being in those high power positions. And it's just finding them. And then when you do, you got to hold on tight to them, because they're going to help you kind of see your vision through. So it's just funny, because people have asked me, they're like, why do you have 2 guys on there? I'm like, because they believe there are people out there. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, no, that's super important too.
Yeah.
Now we always ask about women, whether in your personal or professional life, who inspire you. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, that's such a good question. Personally, my sister and my mom, in terms of women, they're just they inspire me every day. My sister, she is constantly working and constantly, and same with my mom, encouraging me to take these next steps, and to fight back and fight for my voice. They've always encouraged me to do that. And I probably wouldn't do it without their encouragement. And in terms of like other female filmmakers, Greta Gerwig is a huge inspiration for me, because I saw Lady Bird and I was literally like, that is an authentic female experience. There is no fluff to that. That is truth. And that was the first time that I had seen such an accurate portrayal of someone my age on the screen. And I was just blown away. And I think she has so many amazing things to say about what it means to be a woman, especially a woman in a professional field. So I really look up to her and admire her. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh. No, carry on.
No, you go. It's okay. Zoom experience.
Like everyone says Greta, I feel like all our listeners will agree with you. And I'm just gonna say thank you for coming on, because you are such an inspiration, you know, being so young and starting your own production company. We need more women like you, and you know, me, you, and Avita, you know, young women in this industry are the ones that are going to change it. So thank you for, you know, creating that change in your own way.
That's so sweet. Thank you. And you guys too. I mean, everything that you all are doing is incredible, especially I think like conversations like these need to happen between women in the same field. So I really thank you guys for making not only this happen, but everything that I've done before. It's really incredible.
No, of course. And where can people find you, and how can they support Brave Mouse?
I am in New York, obviously, but I also go back to Texas. But Brave Mouse's website we have all our emails, phone numbers, everything like that. Also on my website, there's my phone number and email. So people, please reach out, because I'm looking for collaborators and for future projects. So, and because of this COVID world that we're in, I don't even think that there's a specific place. It can be from anywhere, which is amazing. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. And we're good.
Hi, I'm Shania.
And I'm Avita.
You are listening to the 13th episode of Making It Women in Film,
a podcast where we sit down with women working in the film and TV industry to talk about their journey, experiences, advice, and the importance of diversity in front and behind the camera.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking with entrepreneurs Ambre, Vanneste, and Avery, who have both started up their own film companies. Let's get into it.
And so we are here with Ambre, or is that how you say it? Ambre? I don't know, I'm bad at French.
You can call me Amber if you want.
And joining us all the way from Belgium. Like, how are you doing over there? How's it been?
It's pretty good. The weather's not great, but apart from that,
we can relate to that.
Yeah. We stay home anyway, right? So
exactly. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners? I know that you study at SAE in Brussels and I study here in Glasgow, so that's a bit of a coincidence. Do you want to tell us your journey into filmmaking?
Yes, sure. So, well, first I was born in France, so I spent most of my life in France. And I really loved filmmaking. In high school, I had this option in my high school where we discovered filmmaking. And I'm especially, I would say, a screenwriter. I really love screenwriting. I think Evita likes it as well.
Oh, yes.
And so I wanted to go into filmmaking with my studies, you know. So I decided to go to Brussels because there was an SAE in Paris, but they didn't do English courses, and I wanted to do English courses. So I went to Brussels, and I'm half Belgian, so I also went there because I really like the city. It's great. And now I'm on my second year of filmmaking at SAE. It's going good, and I'm definitely specializing in screenwriting and directing. That's what I do the most. I have a short film that is coming up in end of October. It's a horror short film. Horror is my favorite genre. I really like it. But I also love romance, which is kind of ironic. That's my two favorite ones. So yeah, I have a couple of projects coming up for school and also personal stuff. And I also really like business and management. So I created this website called Indie Clips, which is basically a Netflix, but for short films only. So it's really to promote short films and independent filmmakers who want to get a little more famous. It's all about promoting short films. Yes.
I love that so much because I don't think I've ever heard about a website that's like dedicated to short films, but it's such a good idea. So can you tell us about how you got that idea and how that then actually became indieclips.com? Like how did that all come together?
So the idea first really came when I was doing some research for a paper actually for school, which was about comparing Netflix and streaming platforms with the cinema industry and trying to find their impacts on cinema industry. And I realized that Netflix is a great way to promote films, especially now, you know, that you can't really go to cinemas to enjoy them that much as before. Netflix is a great alternative and it works really well. So I was thinking, why not do the same kind of idea, but with short films? Because I, as a filmmaker, I think we all know as filmmakers that short films are very much appreciated by filmmakers, but not too much popular by the audience in general. Like most people watch feature films, but less short films. So I was thinking that if we could make short films a little more popular and accessible to any audience, that would be great, you know, and it would be great for the actual filmmakers who did these short films, so that they can get remunerated for their job. So Indie Clips is something. There's other streaming platforms that exist for short films only. Indie Clips is about remunerating the people. So there's a monthly subscription, and the subscribers pay either a basic subscription, either a gold one. The gold one makes it accessible for them to watch BTS tutorials. It's really for the passionate filmmakers, you know. And the money goes back to the directors of the short films and also to Indie Clips, so that Indie Clips will be in the future capable of doing its own productions, just like Netflix works. Really, it's you can do that with Indie Clips.
That's amazing. That's such a smart idea. The website looks super professional and it's really easy to manage. So how long did it take to set all that up and officially launch it all?
So the website is it's my brother Cyril, my big brother. He works on it, and what he did is he bought a template, and from that template we just put all of our content on, and we are changing stuff because sometimes stuff doesn't work, etc. And I would say even now the website is not 100% complete because we have other ideas. We work on it together, and we would like to add a little, for example, a blog part where people can share their ideas on the film, etc. So we're still developing it, I would say. But yes, my brother worked on it. He is specialized in, he creates a lot of websites, so he really knows what he's doing. So he's been a great help for me on that. And he's very good in business and management as well, because he has a master in that. So he helps me a lot with that as well. So yeah, I really like the website as well. And I think I think it's nice and
It's like super smooth. Wait, so just going back, have you like been working on this during COVID? Did you come up with it like in the beginning, or how's COVID affected the making of Indie Clips?
Well, the Indie Clips really it really started in COVID, you know, because we had the idea with my brother in December last year, but the time it took for us to just make this website, you know, and work on that and make a business plan and etc. we really started doing it in April. And so basically I find the short films by looking up, doing a lot of research. I use social media a lot because the artists all like they often publish their work on social media, so I just contact them via Instagram or something, and I ask them if they want to do a partnership with me. So for now, of course, the website is really not well known, so it's most about partnerships. The directors that are on my website are not yet remunerated. They are helping me show what the website can do, and in the future they will be remunerated once we have more subscribers. And I actually had that partnership with a filmmaker that you had on your podcast.
Yes.
Yes, Amelia Nash. I have 2 of her short films on my website, and she's been a great help for me because her short films are really nice. One of them won a couple of festivals, and I really like having good content, you know, quality content on my website, and that's great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was going to ask actually, you have like such a wide variety of genres available, like as you said, horror and romance, you know, it's not so niche. And how do the filmmakers most often react when you ask about it? Because I can imagine with short films, the as you were talking about, it's not generally appreciated that much by the general audience, but film lovers, we love short films and we love it. They're often a part of festivals, but then kind of they don't really end up in that many places. They kind of just float around. So I can imagine being like asked like, hey, I have a home for your short film. Like how has the response generally been from the filmmakers you've been in contact with?
Yeah, most of the times I've had very positive reactions. For example, just today I uploaded a short film from a young French filmmaker who won a Cannes Pocket Festival. So it's really great. He was very surprised, really, that I came to reach out for him. But most of the times people react really smooth. But sometimes people tell me that they can't upload it on my website either because they are still competing for short like festivals, of course. Or sometimes it's because they are already on other streaming platforms, because it exists, of course. And some streaming platforms require, how do you say that in English? They really require them to be unique, you know, only on their platforms.
Yeah.
While on indie clips, I don't require that at all. Like the short film can already be on YouTube, Vimeo, any other streaming platform. It's okay, because the point of indie clips is just that we make a selection for the audience. So it doesn't matter if you can find it somewhere else. It's more about we found this for you and we allow you to watch it, you know.
That's really cool. And I was wondering, with making this website, what has been the most challenging part for you?
The most challenging is really to find the content, I would say, because in the subscriptions you can actually become one of the artistic directors that choose the short films. But for now, I'm only doing this with very close friends of mine at the SAE. So we are a very small team to choose the content. So I would say it really requires a lot of work, and a very good advice I would have to give to anyone who wants to do the same is to really have a planning and to really work on this every chance you get, to work on it several times a week. You can't just be like, once a week I'm gonna do that, you know. It requires really constant work. So I would say that's the most challenging for now. I think my brother has a lot of challenges on the website itself. Good luck to him on that. But yeah.
And what would you say has been the most rewarding, or the thing that you've learned the most from during all of this?
Well, I'm really glad of the support that I get from my friends, even friends that really have had at least no interest in short films before. They told me they really liked the website and it really gave them interest in that. So that has been very rewarding. And I think it's a great experience for me because I have never done that before. And it's really a great experience because it's a work. It's really work. You have to work on it very frequently. And actually, I would like, when I finish SAE, I would like to go on to a school that does creative industries business, you know, to really learn more about that, because I think it's very fascinating. It really mixes my passion for creativity and business. You know, I have those two sides that I like to join. So it's been great.
That's amazing. And with indie clips, what do you see for it in the future? What are your goals for it?
My goals for it in the future. Well, so firstly, my first goal would be to have enough subscribers to remunerate the directors. That's the first step. Then second step would be to have enough subscribers to actually have a indie clips budget, and for all that is publicity, of course, making more ads, being more popular. And you know, once we have an actual budget for indie clips productions, that would be the dream, because then I even get to employ people. When I see that they have the talent and I really like their film, I can actually produce it with indie clips. And I think it can create great things in the future.
Definitely. What I love about this, it's just we need more women and other underrepresented groups in the film industry who are taking these things into their own hands and making companies like you are, where you can really celebrate and promote other artists. It's such a great concept because we need, as you were talking about, with especially short films, which is a way that so many filmmakers start out, there's not really that much ground to it, but with a platform here where people can go and find them, it's just, there's something really lovely about knowing that these things are being made and that we're going to be seeing so much more support for indie filmmakers. Now, about like being an entrepreneur, we got a question from one of our listeners, and she was wondering how you made yourself really commit to this. Like, how did you fight through, and what advice would you have for anyone out there who might be doubting whether or not their ideas are good enough to become like a proper company?
Oh, all right. So I would say you really need to trust your ideas, because everyone has ideas. There's lots of different stuff, and you can come with one simple idea and it's going to evolve anyway. You're not going to stick on the same thing, and it's no problem. You can create as much as you want. If it doesn't work, you move on to the next thing. And I think that anyway, if you have an idea that you love, you can work on it, you can take your time on it. No one is rushing you to make it in 3 months, you know. So take time, and very important thing is to be surrounded by people who support you as much as possible. This is very important, especially as you're saying, women in filmmaking and in business industries. It's not as easy, I would say, for us, because of some judgments sometimes. And I noticed that as well, even with my own friends sometimes. And I would say the most important is to only keep the positive stuff and evolve on that, you know. I think another question was, how do I keep track of what I'm doing? I would say I'm a very, I love plannings. I'm very organized. And I think in the end it will pay off, even though it's very annoying. You know, you keep looking at your planning. I got to do this today. But that's like the first advice, of course, is to stick to a planning. That's the first thing they also teach you if you go to a business class or a management class. They will tell you it's all about planning, you know, your work, and having goals, of course. You can set goals for yourself. In 1 month I have that much films on indie clips, you know. That's what I do as well. And yeah, if you do that, you will see results. But again, for example, me, I'm very realistic. I don't think that indie clips will be the big thing this year or next year, but it's all about long term. And as long as you keep seeing an evolution, you just gotta keep patient and realistic. And I think in the end, it will work out for you.
Mm-hmm.
I love that mindset. You know, you can tell you're really going to get far in life with like that realistic mindset and all your hard work. Another question I do have, like you said before, to an audience, you know, most people don't watch short films. So to the viewers watching this and listening to this, if you had to suggest a short film to them, what would it be? Like, what's your favorite short film?
Ooh. What's my favorite short film? Well, I'm trying to think, because in SAE we do look at very good short films sometimes, and most of the times I just write them down, all of them, because I love them so much. But my favorite short film that I've seen lately, at least, was an animation short film. And I think animation is really good sometimes, most of the time, actually. I really like it. I have a friend who studies animation, and what she does is really fun. And it was an animation about this little dinosaur peluche, I don't know how you say in English, just a teddy bear, you know, who lost his friend. And it really, it had all the structure of a good script, you know, and I really appreciated that. Most of the times I love short films that have a very nice conflict in them. I think it's the most important thing, because then you can have like not a very good camera, not very good actors, etc. But I think if you have a very touching story behind it, most of the times people care more, you know, of course, than just beautiful images that don't really appeal to the emotions. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, writing and like the script of a film is really this, it's the skeleton of the body, you know, like if you have strong muscles, it doesn't matter if like your bones are broken. So this has been really, really inspiring, and I just love seeing people being like, hey, I'm gonna do this. And as you were saying, like it's going to take time. We're doing it right now, like with this podcast. We're just committing to it and being like, we're going to make one every week. We're going to post on Instagram. We're going to do this, and then, you know, whatever the future brings, we'll take. But it's really about the commitment to it. And this has been really good to talk with you about. We always ask about a woman who inspire you, whether that's in your personal or professional life. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out?
All right, a woman who inspires me. Well, for now, I think I really like I discovered a woman who's a rapper, and her name. I can check it out real quick if you want.
That's okay.
I really like her spirit. Like, she has a song. It really resumes what I just said. It's about taking your time and not being stressed over what's going to happen next. You just do your thing, because in the end, you don't really have time to hesitate in life. Her name is Coley. I think she's pretty famous already, and she's really inspires me lately. You know, she's been. I remember my shooting, but it was not a long time ago for my short film, and sometimes there was like harsh times where things didn't go exactly as planned, and I just listened to some of her raps, and it was inspiring to me.
That's amazing. It's been a wonderful talking with you, and I think, you know, after hearing, you know, why you started up the website and, you know, what you do to maintain it and everything, you know, it's really inspiring, and I hope all your hard work pays off, because I can tell you're going to be really successful in the future. So I'm excited to see it for you.
Thank you. And I must say, I really like your podcast and also your Instagram account. You can really see that you guys are taking time on it. And I like how you post very frequently. Like, this is a very good example, really, like you are committed to it and that you share very great information on it. So I think it's a great way to just keep going with a project, and it keeps evolving. So that you guys are a great example to how to make something work. Really. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think patience is just everything.
Yes.
Like I was talking with a friend not too long ago, and she was just like, the thing you have to realize is the worst thing that can happen is that no one notices, and that's not even the worst thing. So you just have to shoot your shot, and just go for it. Is there anything that you want to plug or promote, where people can find you and stuff like that?
Sure. You can find Indie Clips account on Instagram. It's Indie Clips FR, that's it. And you can find so many news on it. And also, if you go on indieclips.com, there is a subscribers place for people who want to watch movies, but there is also a content place where you can actually propose your content. So if you are a filmmaker and have a short film that you would like to upload on Indie Clips, you can fill out a form that is on the website, and I will look at it and I will upload it on my website if I think that the short film is interesting. So please don't hesitate. Yes, that's it, really.
That's so cool. I know we have like so many people who are just like starting out with filmmaking, and I'm sure there's so many that have great short films. So
yes,
definitely
and
go check that out.
I'm open to a lot of different short films by beginners, by students in filmmaking, by professionals who made their short films independently. So yeah, really don't hesitate, guys. It's I would love to promote any short film. That's the point. So yeah.
Amazing.